Hello and welcome to Birds of the Roundtable, the best Philly podcast, rounding up all of the Eagles news. We're coming to you with one of our last editions before training camp starts. We're going to get to you guys today with a whole slew of Eagles over-unders, and I haven't told Dibes this yet, but maybe we can put these out on social media and let fans vote too, and we'll track it and come back with a scorecard at the end of the year. If we remember. I never actually remember this stuff. But I'm your host for tonight, Shane Half. You can follow me on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. I am joined today by the godfather of the painted lines. It is Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Christmas is just around the corner, getting ready for Eagles training camp. We are almost there. I'm excited to kind of hear your thoughts on some of these stats because some of these are absolutely crazy to me. Some are pretty realistic. Some I'm like, no. And we'll get into it, but let's do this.
All right, and we're also joined by Ryan Reese from Philly Sports Alliance. Ryan, how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, Shane. Always glad to be doing this show. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of different from my norm, so I love it.
You know, the last time Ryan and I were on a show together, I just spent the majority of the show like bashing everything he said, and so Dibes not only asked me back, but he made me the host. So I don't know what that tells you, but it speaks volumes to me. And so, yeah. And we're also joined by Phil from DSM Media. Phil, how are you doing this evening?
I'm fantastic. Just as a little note here, I was taught at a very young age, you never bet the under. It's too short life. So you always bet the over. Yeah. So I think I just answered all the questions in one simple line right there.
We can go ahead and mark Phil down for all the over. That is true. Life is too short to bet the unders. No. You got it all wrong here, Dibes. He said it's too short to bet the unders. You got to always bet the over.
Life is too short to bet the under, so you bet the over always.
There you go. All right, so we have 18 over-unders for the Eagles specifically that we're going to go through today. We're going to get each of these guys' thoughts. We'll track this. We'll put this out, blast it out on social media, and you guys can follow along at home. But if you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, be sure and drop us some comments. We look forward to interacting with you guys on the show. That's one of the things that makes this fun. It does cover up Phil's face. So if you don't like seeing Phil down there in that corner too, drop the comments. We'll get him taken out of the picture there. Okay, so we're going to start off here with probably one of the biggest questions on the Eagles this year. It's going to be the quarterback position. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts. And so I set an over-under, and I set most of these over-unders, so if they're not even close, you can flame me on Twitter later. But I set the over-under for Jalen Hurts' passer rating at 97. So in 2020, Hurts had a passer rating of 77 in his 4 games. In 2021, he had a passer rating of 87. And so this is essentially, will he make that same leap? Will he bring his passer rating up 10 points? Dibes, we'll start with you.
I like this number a lot. I'm going to say a push. Sorry, guys. I'm going to play it dead.
That's not allowed. Not allowed. You gotta go over or under.
Yeah, all right, I'll go a slight under. I'm going to go a slight under. I think this number is absolutely spot on. If you look at last year, 97 will put him like just outside of the top 10 of last year's quarterbacks. I think right now, ranking wise, he's like right in that middle, ranking right in the middle of his amongst his peers. So I think 97 is really strong, but I'll go slight under, like maybe like a 95, 96 for me here.
All right, so we've got Dibes with the under. He's hating on Jalen Hurts already.
Here we go.
Ryan, how about you? What do you think on this one?
You know, I think this actually is, I'll agree with Dibes there. It is a pretty good number, but I have to go over. For this Eagles team to have success, and considering they bring in A.J. Brown, they are going to throw the ball more. Whether that makes it not as reachable, but I think he's going to be very, very slightly over. It's close.
All right. So we got Ryan with the over. Phil, what about you? What are you taking?
I'm probably I don't know you guys that well. I've watched some of your work, and I'm probably the biggest Jalen Hurts fan in this 4-person panel here. I love Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is going to tear the world up this year. He's going to go from that 15th to 17th into that top 10 tier, but I still don't think he goes over 97. It's still going to come under that. I think that number is just pushing the envelope a little too far. I don't even think 95. I think it's going to be right around 90, 91. And if he's got a 91 rating this year, that's a massive improvement over last year. And we probably make a deep run into the playoffs if he's pushing that 91 run right there. So, yeah. So
if Jalen Hurts is a 97 passer rating this year, like he's the guy. He's the guy.
Super Bowl if he's a
90. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm also going to take the under on that one. I think that's a little ambitious of a jump for Hurts. I do expect him to have a better year than he did last year, but 97, that'd be a really, really good year. For a point of reference, everybody that watches my podcast knows I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan. His was like a 97.7 last year. So that would be just a huge leap. It's a much bigger leap from 87 to 97.
Do people even care what the rating is anymore? It's the QBR is what people care about now.
It's true.
Yeah, I hate QBR as a stat, but that's a whole different tangent. QBR based on EPA, so it just dramatically favors scrambling quarterbacks. So I kind of hate it as a metric. But okay, let's move on to the Eagles team wins. And so I set this line at 10. The Vegas win total is 9.5. I felt like if I said 9.5, everybody would take the over, so I pushed it up to 10. Let's start in reverse this time, except I'm going to go last. So, Phil, what do you have on this one? You going to take the over or the under?
I am taking the over, no doubt about it, 100%. I won't give my prediction. I never give my win-loss prediction till literally the Friday before the first game of the season. But there is no way with this deep, even if Jalen Hurts matches last year's QBR or passer rating, the Eagles are going to win 11 games just on the defense alone. The NFC is super weak, in my opinion. I think the Eagles are the third best team in the NFC, honestly, right now at this point. They're going to win 11, possibly 12 games this year. Maybe I really got to dive into the schedule and really find all the quirks to the schedule. But this is an 11, 12 win team. Hey, maybe they go throw in Jesse Bates and they're going to win 12, 13 games. You never know. But I am all in on this team winning the division, winning 11, 12 games, and yeah, we'll see from there.
All right, we've got Sports and Metal chiming in on YouTube, says 12 wins. So taking the over big time. Phil also says on YouTube that he is taking the over. Ryan, what say you? Are you going to rain on the parade here, or are you taking the over?
No, I'm going to keep the train rolling. There's no way they don't get to 11 wins. I just have gone over the schedule just too many times, and in different mindsets, clear head, not clear head, whatever, in my homerisms, but I still think they can get to 11 wins. The schedule is very favorable, especially early on when they're still figuring things out. I think they can end up going 4-2, 5-1 before the break, and then they're set up with a nice bye, couple of easier teams coming off the break. I think it's definitely over.
All right, we've got two overs. Dives, you were laughing. Are you going to take the under?
No, I've been in this game for so long. Like I've been fooled by so many Eagles teams on paper. Like I'm just kind of geeking out a little bit. My Ryan Reese, my homer is coming out right now, for sure. Look at you, over back to back by Ryan there. But yeah, I'm going over. Whether or not it translates to a playoff win is all on Jalen Hurts, for better or worse. I think right now, I'm going to follow my gut just like you guys. And right now, my gut is telling me it's the over. I think for the Birds, the true growth of this team comes against beating quality opponents. They had 0 wins against playoff opponents last year. Let's see what Hurts got. And that's really what this circles back to, especially come playoff time. I've got the over. I'm trying to just rein it in. I'm trying to rein it in and not go too overboard on this Eagles team, because I've been through the ropes, man. I've been let down so many times. It's an over, but it's an over.
All right. So since 2004, the Eagles have had an over-under win total of 9.5 7 times. And 6 of the 7 times they have gone under that win total. They tend to underachieve when they've got big expectations like that. But I am going to take the under. I have the over. I have the over at 9.5 with Vegas. I'll take the over at 10. That's a lot tougher call, though. I think they're about a 10-win team. In the AFC, I would definitely take the under, but the NFC is definitely a weaker division or a weaker conference. I think the Eagles, they're in a good position to win the division. They've got the second easiest strength of schedule, and so I think all signs point up for the team. I will take the over as well.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
All right, so solid overs there. Let's move on to Jalen Hurts passing yards. I set this at 3,999.5. So basically, will Jalen Hurts be a 4,000-yard passer in 2022? He would need to average 235 yards per game over a 17-game season to do that. Last year, he averaged 209 yards per game that he played, so that doesn't count the game that he missed due to injury. So, Ryan, I'm going to kick it to you first this time. Is Jalen Hurts throwing for 4,000 yards this year?
I'm going to go, as much as I truly believe that they are going to pass the ball a lot more this year, I can see him getting a total yards of over 4,000 easily with the rushing. I just can't see it passing alone. So I'm going under. I think he improves that for sure, gets close, but I just can't see him getting 4,000.
All right, so Ryan takes the under. Dives, what about you? What do you think on Jalen Hurts passing yards?
Yeah, I'm going under though, but like you look at last year, 3,100 yards. He missed 2 games. I think he still has a lot to prove for me, but I don't think 4,000 yards is completely crazy. I think there are so many areas that Jalen Hurts can improve, including checkdowns. He was dead last in the NFL in checkdown percentage. There are definitely ways that you can make Jalen Hurts a better passer in 2022, and I'm really excited to see what Nick Sirianni, gives us in training camp and out the gates this season. So for me, I'm going under, but I don't think it's crazy at all.
All right, so we've got 2 unders. Phil, how do you feel about this?
Yeah,
one?
I mean, it's
Taking the
going
over
to
or
be.
under?
You just think about it. I mean, more than Carson Wentz, only one person in Eagles history has ever thrown for 4,000 yards or more.
Wow.
16 games, but Carson Wentz in 2019, that was the only time someone threw for 4,000 yards. Don McNabb, his best was 39.16. Randall Cunningham, 38.08. So I can't say that Jalen Hurts is going to have a great year. He's probably going to have 4,300 all-purpose yards between the rushing and the passing. But even if you set this at 37.99, I would struggle to take the over. So it's got to be the under. You're looking at 35, 36, 37 max because of the running. You're going to pass the ball, but there's going to be a lot of running the ball as well. So it's got to be the under.
All right, I will make it a clean sweep across the board here and take the under. I don't think it's crazy, but I do think, the Eagles were dead last in passing play percentage last year. They just didn't throw the ball. I anticipate them throwing the ball a lot more this year. I don't think they're going to be an air raid team by any stretch of the imagination, but they're going to throw the ball more. You expect Jalen Hurts to take a step. He's got better weapons. At the end of the day, I just can't get there. There's always the potential for injury. I think there's a good chance he doesn't play a Week 18 game that will likely be meaningless at that point. So that takes one game off of your docket there. So I'm going to take the under. I definitely could see him hitting the over, though. We've got Phil on YouTube says he's going to take the over on the passing yards cautiously. Sports and Metal says 36.99 yards passing, so he would take the under. So we've been pretty unified here in all of our responses, with the exception of Ryan on the passer rating. Let's roll on to receiving yards. So none of us think he's going to be a 4,000-yard passer. Let's talk about his receivers. The first one I have here is A.J. Brown receiving yards, and I set it at 999.5. So will A.J. Brown be a 1,000-yard receiver? Last season, he had 869 yards. The 2 years prior, he had 1,075 and 1,051. So he's been on that fringe in Tennessee over the last 3 seasons. Phil, start us off with this one. What do you think about A.J. Brown over 1,000 yards?
I think it's going to be under. I do. A.J. Brown has not stayed healthy for a full 16, 17 games. And you've got A.J. Brown, you've got Devonta Smith, you got Dallas Goedert. People are forgetting about Quez Watkins. Kenneth Gainwell is probably going to get 30 catches out of the backfield. There's going to be passing yards there. Jalen Reagor's still on this team. Greg Ward is still on this team. The ball is going to get spread around a lot. Jalen Hurts has one question mark. Can he read the field, get off his first, read and get to the second, third read? He's going to want to show that, especially early in the season, that he's gotten better at that. So the ball is going to get spread around a lot. So I think, not to give away all my answers, A.J. Brown will lead the team in receiving yards this year, but he is going to be under 999 for sure.
All right. Ryan, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, excuse me. I couldn't agree more. Honestly, I just think with all of the weapons, with the fact that we all basically agreed he's not going to hit 4,000, you have Brown. Yeah, you have Smith, who had a little over 900. You have Dallas Goedert, Quez Watkins, spreading the ball around to the rest of them. Not Greg Ward, by the way. Sorry, that was for times. But yeah, no, I kind of agree. I think they're all going to be, in that 800-900 range as well. And I would be shocked if one of them pops over 1,000. To be honest, I think it's going to be a very spread offense as far as getting the ball around. So yeah, it's going to be close, but I think high 8s, low 9s for most of these receivers.
All right. Sports and Metal on YouTube says AJ is slept on. If you're going to say he's a top 10 receiver, he will most definitely have over 1,000 yards. Dibes, do you agree?
I 100% agree. AJ Brown is over 1,000 yards this season. For me, it's all about what he brings to this offense. He was arguably one of the best in terms of screens. This is a really good screen receiver. Get the ball to AJ Brown and watch him go. That's an area of this offense that we really didn't get to see a lot, especially with Devonta Smith. I expect a lot more screens this season, and I think AJ Brown is 100% going to go over 1,000. Probably not by a lot more. Probably in that 1,050, 1,100 range. Just over a smidge. But I think I am pounding the over on this one.
All right. I am going to take the under on this one. I look at A.J. Brown, and I love the player. I love the acquisition. A.J. Brown, I think, is going to be utilized in this offense a lot as a solo receiver on the backside running routes over the middle of the field. And that's something that Jalen Hurts has not pulled the trigger on so far in his career. Now, you could look at that and say, well, that's because they didn't have anybody that could do that. You've got little Quez Watkins. You've got little Devonta Smith. You've got Dallas Goedert, who they line up in line. They haven't had that big body receiver to go over the middle of the field. And so maybe Hurts can do it. He hasn't had the receivers to do it. And I think there's some truth to that. But until I see it, I don't want to bet on it. And I just think that he's going to have a better connection with Devonta Smith, a guy he's played with in college and a year in the pros. I can see it taking a little bit for that timing, that chemistry to get there with A.J. Brown. So, I know they're friends off the field. They haven't played together on the field. And so I am going to take the under on A.J. Brown receiving yards. Chris Scott says on YouTube, this year will be the first time ever to have two wide receivers over 1,000 yards, and Hurts will have 4,000 yards. That is a lot of optimism right there, and I really hope he's right.
That's the power of positivity right there.
So let's dive into the next one here. It is Devonta Smith receiving yards, the same line at 999.5. He had 916 last year. And I'll go first on this one because I already tipped my answer, but I'm going to take the over on Devonta Smith. I think Devonta Smith will be the leading receiver for the Eagles this year. This isn't on here. I think A.J. Brown will have more touchdowns than Devonta Smith. He's that red zone type guy. But I think Devonta Smith is going to have a big year. He was underutilized last year. He was under-targeted, and he still ended up with 916. And that was really just playing one series that last game. And so as long as he stays healthy, which he did last year, I see him hitting the over here and being that 1,000-yard receiver for the Eagles. Dibes, what about you?
Definitely under. I agree with Sports and Metal and Phil here. For me, I'm probably in that 850 range, way more likely than 1,000 for Devonta Smith. That doesn't mean I don't think he's going to eat up CB2s this year. I think back to what was that preseason game when he just carved up that New England Patriot defensive back. I don't remember who that was, but it was awesome. His route running is terrific. I think Devonta's going to have a great year. I'm going to go easy under.
And that's the other aspect too, is I do think he's going to draw a lot of CB2s because I do think CB1s are going to be matched up on AJ Brown. So I think that does tip it in his favor just a smidge. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, as I alluded to before, I'm going under here. I think again, it's there's going to be a lot of balls thrown around, and I think there's going to be a nice even match. And I think they're all going to, for the most part, Brown, Smith, Goddard. I think they're all going to be in that 800 to 900 range. With Quez probably in that 5 to 6, maybe a little more. Again, if he's kind of just hiding there, nobody realizes he's there. But yeah, I got to go under here. I love the optimism of somebody said 2,000-yard receivers. That would be amazing. I'd do a backflip, but good thing I can't, so I won't.
I was going to say, can you do a backflip? Because we need to get you on a post-game show to do that.
What about you? My last.
If I already said Devonta Smith's leading the team in receiving, and he's not going to get to 1,000 yards, I obviously can't say that. I actually have a bold prediction here. Devonta Smith will be third on the team receiving yards.
Ooh.
He will not be 1. He will not be 2. Devonta Smith, I think between A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and the coverage that they're going to draw, A.J. Brown's going to be close to 1,000, but under it. Devonta Smith, if you set that at 899.5, I might take the under on that as well. Devonta Smith is going to fall in that 8 to 850 range maximum. He might even, if he misses a game or two, tweaks something, takes a hard hit, whatever, you might see him fall into that 700-yard range. But he is going to be third on the team in receiving yards. We haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Jeremy Maclin in 2014. So whoever it was that said we're going to have 2 this year, that's a thing. There's no way it's going to happen. What's his name? Alshon Jeffrey didn't even have 1,000 yards. He was crucial to us winning a Super Bowl. Not having a 1,000-yard receiver does not mean we don't win or have a great season. So Devonta Smith will be third on the team in receiving yards. Mark my words.
Is Goddard the other one you have ahead of him, or you?
I have Dallas Goddard. I'll have more receiving. We love tight ends here in Philly, and even with Doug Peterson switching to Nick Sirianni, we still heavily favored the tight ends last year. It's going to be the same way. Dallas Goddard is going to have a wide open middle of the field with all those other weapons, including Quez Watkins. Dallas Goddard will push A.J. Brown to the team lead in receiving yards. It'll still be 1,000, but it'll be really close.
Love it.
All right, so in that vein, Dallas Goedert receiving yards, 999.5. So will he be a 1,000-yard receiver? He had 830 last year. He did play with Zach Ertz for the first 6 games of the year. So, Phil, you've got the under on this one too?
Yeah, I don't get this. Who's the other multiple tight ends that's going to be set? Is Jay going to make this team as a tight end?
Yeah, right.
No. You know what I mean? So, he's good. There's going to be a lot more one tight end sets. And he's going to see a lot of very slow linebackers over the middle, and he is going to burn them this year.
Yeah, the Eagles already switched pretty predominantly to 11 personnel last year. I think it was 60-some% of the snaps. So I think they will use 2 tight ends less. So Phil's got the under. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off that. Yeah, exactly. Like, who is the second tight end that you're speaking of? Jack Stoll? Couldn't catch a paper bag. He's there to block. So even with 2 tight ends out on the field, most likely one of them will be sitting there blocking while Goddard is going out and carving up the middle. But again, I'm with Phil here. I don't see a 1,000-yard receiver on this team, so I'm going under. And again, I think right in that 850 to 900 range, we'll see the top 3 receivers in this offense right around there. But yeah, nobody's going to eclipse it.
All right. So under Dibes. Are you going with the flow here?
Going with the flow. I'm going under, but I'm a little more positive than you guys. I think Goddard's more likely to be in that 900 to 1,000 range versus 800 to 900 range. I do think Goddard is going to have a really good season. He ranked 5th among tight ends in target shares last year. His target share went from 11% to 24% after the Ertz trade. That's only going to go up this season. It's definitely an under for me, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think 1,000 yards is crazy at all for Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under as well. I do think he's going to have a good year. I think he's a really good tight end. I just think there's a lot of weapons in that offense, and I don't think there's a clear preference to throw to tight ends from Jalen Hurts, and so I'm going to take the under on that one. I think all three of those guys are going to have good seasons. Ultimately, if I'm taking the under on passing yards, I can't afford more than one over here, so I'll put it on Devonta Smith. Sports and Medals got A.J. Brown at 1,200, Goddard at 880, and Smith at 850.
Yep.
Chris is doubling down on 2,000-yard wide receivers and
Love
Smith
it.
Brown.
And
we've got – yeah, I hope he's right. And we've got Paul says that Devonta Smith will have 1,100 yards and Brown and Goddard will be in the 850 to 950 range.
I think Goddard had a little issues with drops, too. He led the team in drops last year. So definitely going to be lots of opportunity for Goddard this year. I cannot wait.
That's just because they didn't throw to Jalen Reagor enough.
I'd love to be wrong about all this, believe me. But again, I just think we're so caught up as a football society of that 1,000 yards, meaning having a good season or not. And I think we are literally going to, at the end of this year, we're going to look at our top 4 pass catchers and just say that was probably one of the better seasons we've seen as Eagles receivers as a team. We may not have eclipsed 1,000 yard, but I think as a whole, I think we're going to see that, hey, we have some receivers on this team, and we got a high-powered offense.
I've in there. I really think Quez Watkins. Like I said, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be about 3,600 yards. If Quez Watkins is going to get about 500 of those yards receiving, in my opinion, he's going to get a lot of really third cornerbacks, fourth cornerbacks, safeties, things like that. Kenneth Gainwell is going to have a break. He's going to catch a couple hundred yards. But there's only so much left for the other guys. Maybe he's going to be 3,500 yards, 3,600 yards, Jalen Hurts. So I can see where none of them get to 1,000 yards, and pretty easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's roll on here to passing play percentage rank at 16.5. So last year, the Eagles passed the ball on 50.1% of their plays, which was dead last in the NFL. That cutoff to be in the top half of the league was 58.8%. So that's saying this year, will they be in the top half of the league? Will they be over 16.5 in passing play percentage rank? So I guess we'll clarify terms here. Over means they will be higher than that. They will be in that top half. Under means they'll be in the bottom half of the league. Dives, why don't you lead us off?
Oh man, easily my favorite over/under of the bunch here. This is what I'm watching. This is everything I'm watching. I'm gonna go slightly under here. I don't think anyone can tell you what we should expect from the Eagles offense heading into training camp right now. And I think it's not a question about, how the Eagles start when it comes to passing play percentage, but more so how they finish. Like, will the Eagles allow Jalen Hurts to go through his growing pains and stick with the pass, or will Nick Sirianni chicken out and switch to a more run-heavy offense come November and December? That's the biggest question. That's the biggest question I have, especially this year when it comes to evaluating Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to go under on this one, and I'm really excited to hear what you guys say.
All right, Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's as I've said, it's a little hard to kind of pinpoint how this offense is going to look, just considering last year. The second half of the year, it felt like we ran the ball 75% of the time, and we were very good at it. So, obviously you don't bring an A.J. Brown here if you're just going to run the ball. So I think there's obviously going to be a big increase for this team. I just don't see them being in the top half. So I'm going under, but I think we'll see a significant increase in the passing play percentage.
All right. Phil, how about you?
All right, so what did you say? It's 58% was the average on the league last year?
Yeah, so last year, that break, if you were over 58.8%, you would have been in the top half. And the Eagles were at 50.1.
I bet you if we did some hardcore research here, every year that number has increased. What the average
sure, yeah.
was.
Yep.
that average will probably be 60% this year. So really, you got to think: are the Eagles going to pass the ball 61, 62% of the time to be in that top half? They're damn well going to try. By week 6 or 7, they're going to be in that top half for sure. Now, will they stay there? If it's 58%, I think they hit they're going to be right around 59 to 60%. I just don't know if 60 will be enough to be in the top half. I'm just going to say over.
Over.
You know, just because they're going to try. They're going to do everything in their power to pass the ball this year.
I like
They
it.
really are. I just don't know if they'll be able to keep up with the rest of the league and the Justin Herberts and the Joe Burrows and the Josh Allens that are throwing 70, 75% of the league time. I just don't know.
This is a top elite tier offense. If they're able to be successful throwing the ball 60% of the time, this offense is going to be unstoppable. That's it.
The Eagles are in a place where what they want to do does not match the strength of their offensive personnel. I mean, and even if you remove the question marks about Hurts as a passer, still you have a top offensive line. You've got a mobile quarterback that is strong. He can run through guys. Running is always going to be a key feature for this team. Now, I expect them to come out trying to throw the ball more at the start of the year, kind of like they did last year. But at a certain point, I think you realize that even if Hurts is playing better as a passer, running the ball is still going to be a huge asset for this team. I think they're not going to be dead last, but I can't see them getting into that top half of the league in pass percentage. I'm going to take the under. I think they're in like that 18 to 20 range in terms of that percentage.
Got to remember a couple things. Last year, they tried to pass early and they failed. They played a very, very tough first half of the schedule.
Exactly. Context is important.
The first half of the schedule is much easier. And last year, the second half of the schedule that was easier, Jalen Hurts had a bum ankle. So he couldn't, pass the ball like he wanted to. If he stays healthy this year, which is a question mark for a running quarterback, you've got the early part of the season for him to gain the confidence that the second half of the season, he might be a 10 times better quarterback in the second half. Because when they get to the tougher part, he might be flying high at that point. So you got to take that all into the picture there. And also, the more I think about it, the more I'm on the over on that right now. I'm talking myself into it right now.
Talking myself into it. All right. Love to see it. Okay, let's go to Miles Sanders rushing yards. And I set this one at 999.5 as well. So will Miles Sanders go over and hit that 1,000-yard mark? Ryan, why don't you lead us off on this one?
Oh,
here, hold on. I'll give you some other stats while you think for just a second. So he had 754 yards last year, but he did miss 5 games. He had 867 the year before, and he missed 4 games. So if you look over the last 2 seasons, his per 17 games is 1,148 rushing yards, but he hasn't stayed healthy. So last season, he played 38% of the snaps for the Eagles, while Kenny Gainwell played 26. Boston Scott played 19%. They're both back. Jordan Howard played 13%, and he is gone. So with that context, Ryan, what are you feeling here?
Yeah, that didn't change my answer. You gave out wonderful stats, and yeah, you know what? Through 16, 17 games, sure, Miles Sanders can easily get over 1,000 yards. The question is, will he stay healthy? The answer is no. Either he will ultimately miss a few games with some lingering knee injury or ankle injury, and he won't get there. I think he has the talent to be a very good running back in this league. It's just unfortunately, availability is the best ability, and he doesn't have it. So there's no chance in hell I see him getting over 1,000 yards, sadly, even though I want it more than a lot of things on this team, because I want him to stay healthy. I want him to be out there because he has that home run, threat. He has that ability. I just don't see him being on the field as much as we need him. And this probably will be the last year for Miles Sanders in an Eagles uniform.
All right. Phil is nodding his head. Phil, you agree?
He nailed something there. I got bashed before last season. I got bashed earlier in this offseason for saying that Howie Roseman should have tried to find a trade partner to get rid of Miles Sanders because he had value. He has had value. His value is dwindling. We are not going to extend him after this year. Kenneth Gainwell is the future at the running back position for this team. He's not going to get the over because if he doesn't get hurt, he might get traded at some point in the next 6 to 8 weeks. I would trade him. I would have traded him already. And like I said, people do not like it when I say that. But you know what? There's got to be a contending team out there that needs a running back on a cheap deal. Dude, if I'm Howie, I'm calling the phone. I'm using what draft picks I can to get Jesse Bates, and I'm using Miles Sanders to recoup some of that draft capital because there's no need on this team for Miles Sanders at this point, considering he's never available for a full – he's not available for 14 or 15 games normally. So, yeah, it's way under for me on Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I am very under on that as well. He's got the ability. He has not proven. If you're asking me to bet on Miles Sanders' health, I'm just not going to do it because that's a foolish bet. So I'm definitely taking the under here. And I'm with you. I've said for a long time, the Eagles aren't extending Miles Sanders. He's done after this year in Philly. And Dibes, I already know what you're putting. So Dibes co-signs everything, and he's putting the under as well.
Yeah, you guys are making my night here. I'm on. I've been on Mount Kenny Gainwell for a while now. I think Gainwell's going to really end this season on a high mark. I think it's going to be Gainwell getting the targets on the ground, through the air, and I much better fit with Nick Sirianni's offense, as we have said multiple times. For me, I'm going under. I'm done with Miles. Moving on.
All right. Let's move on to the next one here. We have Jalen Reagor receptions at 12.5. So he played 67% of the snaps last year. That was behind Quez Watkins at 69% and Devonta Smith at 82%. He had 33 receptions. So will Jalen Reagor go over or under 12.5 receptions in 2022? Phil, why don't you lead us off?
Well, first off, because I can see the next line. The next line, Andre Dillard, Eagles snaps. You didn't put Jalen Reagor, Eagles receptions. So this could be anywhere.
No. Eagles.
No, it doesn't say it. All right, there we go. All right. Now it's the under, okay?
I will say in my notes that I sent to Dibes, I did say receptions for the Eagles.
Okay, well, that's not what it said here.
But he put it on the graphic wrong. We're going to blame. We throw Dibes under the bus on this podcast.
Jalen Reagor will have 20 catches in the league this year or more. They're just not going to be with the Eagles. He will be cut this season, whether it's in camp at some point. No one's going to offer us a 7th-round pick from him in the trade. The numbers, Pascal, Ward, all these guys that are here, it's the time when Jalen Reagor finally gets cut. He just doesn't make the team. It's gonna be 0 catches for Jalen Reagor in an Eagles uniform this year.
All right, so we've got a strong under there. Says he's not going to make the team. Dibes, what say you?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably take some shit on this one, but I'm going over. I'm going over on this one. I agree for my own personal sanity. I agree. Like I would rather hope that it's under for sure, but there's going to be injuries. There's going to be some snaps for Jalen Reagor with the Eagles. I do think he makes this roster. Unfortunately, I don't see Howie cutting this guy. For me, I think it's going to be right around that area. Probably like 15 catches. He will probably have like a game or two where he gets like 4 here, and then like 3 or 4 weeks later he gets like 4. I think he's going to have just over the mark here. I'm going over. Sorry, guys.
All right, Ryan.
No, you stole my thunder. I am going to go over as well.
Oh man, I thought I was the only one there.
No. And the only reason, again, is because while I think it's a very good possibility he could get cut, Howie also never likes to admit his mistakes. And we've seen that time in and time again where they keep a guy a little longer than they should because they didn't want to admit the draft mistake. So that's why I think he makes his team. I think he'll be that 5th receiver. And Dibes, just like you said, he'll come in, he'll get 3 catches. You won't see him for 3 weeks. He'll get 2 catches here. A couple weeks later, get a couple catches here. And, again, with the way of the NFL, with injuries and all that, he'll get it, just barely though. He really will, and unfortunately, he'll be on this squad for another year.
Bold prediction: Jalen Reagor will have a game-winning touchdown in 2022.
Wow.
You can bank on that.
Oh,
He
wow.
will have a game-winning touchdown this season.
What you guys said, I've been pounding the table for that stuff about Howie. He doesn't admit his mistakes and all. But I've been pounding the table the last couple of weeks saying that I've evolved and Howie Roseman has evolved. He has evolved as a GM. He is going to change.
Has he though? Has he though? I mean, come on, look at that Fletcher. Look at the Fletcher contract.
It's not admitting a mistake at this point. Everybody knows it was a mistake. It ultimately comes down to it costs the Eagles $2.5 million to cut him versus keeping him. So the Eagles have a clear top four at receiver in Brown, Smith, Quez, and Zach Pascal. It comes down to if one of these guys, Britton Covey, or if Devin Allen, if one of those guys can win that fifth job as the return man. That's what it comes down to. I don't know which way it's going to go. I think they want Jalen Reagor off this team, but I also think that they don't want to burn $2.5 million. And so if he's on this team, he likely gets that 12.5 catches. I have struggled with this one more than any of them. I want so desperately for Jalen Reagor to be gone. I ultimately do think he's going to be on this team. And so I'm going to have to take the over. I think he's going to hit just barely 12.5 catches.
It's either him or Greg Ward on this team. And for as much as Howie doesn't like to admit mistakes, man, Greg Ward is just surviving in this league for a really long time.
He's like the Eagles. I don't know how he's still here.
He shouldn't be in football, Greg Ward, let alone the Eagles. And if you got to tell me one or the other's got to go, for some reason, Greg Ward has got some trump card that's going to say, yo, don't forget, you're not allowed to cut me.
Yeah, he's got pictures of Howie.
That's something.
I will not allow any kind of slander towards my man, Greg Ward. I'm having it.
Mr. 20 catches for 42 yards. Greg.
You're saying this on another stream. Like, there was a point not too long ago when Ward was the number one receiver on this team.
That was bad.
2 years ago, wasn't it?
Last year, I think Greg Ward had like negative 87 yards after catch over expectation or something like that. He just catches the ball and falls backwards.
The year he led the team in receptions, what was our record that year?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's roll on to another guy. Will he be on the team? This is Andre Dillard. Eagles snaps, I set it at 0.5. So will Andre Dillard play a snap for the Eagles in 2022? Dibes, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go that same route if he's on the team as Jalen Reagor, same route as Jalen Reagor. That mindset, like if he's on the team, he's going to get at least one or two spot starts at left tackle if, you need to rest Jordan Mailata. I'm going to go over 1.5 snaps for me.
All right.
Over.
Ryan, how about you? Is Andre Dillard going to play a snap?
I'm going to go under. I truly believe that if there is a trade to be made, whether it be the rumored Jesse Bates one or whomever they might want to add, I think Dillard is probably the number one trade target for other teams on this squad. So, and I know how he's always looking to deal. So, I just see that he gets traded before the start of the season, and even if it takes a couple of weeks, again, I just don't see him getting that opportunity to suit up. So, I'm going under. He's not on the squad.
All right, Phil, you're shaking your head.
I have a lot of the value of Andre Dillard in my head is extremely high. I don't think we're going to be able to get Jesse Bates. There's going to be too much competition. I don't think it's going to happen. That is the only scenario where I see Andre Dillard not on this team. And not only do I think he's on this team, I think he plays significant snaps. We have the best offensive line. We have the best backup offensive line in football. Lane Johnson will miss time. I'm sure of it at some point with his age. Jason Kelsey's going to miss time. Someone's going to have to fill in Jason Kelsey's spot. Andre Dillard will play. He's not going to be a starter. There's a lot of value there in Andre Dillard. I'm not just tossing him aside for a future third or fourth round pick. Andre Dillard, he's going to play some significant. He's going to start more than over 0.5 games this year. I won't just say snaps. Starts over 0.5 this year for Andre Dillard because it's going to be a necessity.
Is Jason Kelsey gonna miss games? Like that dude hasn't missed a snap or hasn't missed a game since what? Like I don't know. Every year I think it's got to break the streak, but
at some point Father Time catches up with it. I know. I'm probably the guy in this room right now. Father Time catches up to us all. It's already past my bedtime at this point.
I'm going to take the under on this one. I think Andre Dillard is going to be a training camp trade. I think Eagles fans underrate the job that he did last year. Like, I know he hasn't lived up to his first round draft status. He's looked at as a bust by Eagles fans, and he didn't live up to it. But the fact of the matter is, like, Jordan Mailata is a top 5 offensive tackle in football right now. It's not like he lost his job to some bum off the street. The biggest issue for Andre Dillard staying on this team is that he cannot play right tackle. And your backup tackle has to be able to play both sides of the ball, because you do not want Lane Johnson to go down and now you have to move your left tackle to right tackle and then have you got 2 guys in new spots. You don't want to do that. And so that's the main reason I think Dillard ends up going. You know, you look to a team that's just not pleased with their left tackle in camp. There's an injury. Those types of situations always exist. I do think the Eagles are going to move Andre Dillard. If he's here, he'll play. But I do think he's going to get traded during training camp. So I will take the under.
Glad somebody's with me.
All right, let's roll on to the defense here. I bet these will probably speed up a little bit. Hassan Reddick sacks, I set it at 10.5. He had 11 and 12.5 the last 2 years in Carolina and Arizona, respectively. Both places he played over 75% of the snaps. The Eagles typically don't play pass rushers that many snaps. And so I set it at 10.5. Dibes, start us off here.
You nailed it, Shane. Unfortunately, I'm going to go under. I see him around 9 to 10 this year. He played 78% of the snaps last season. That ain't happening with the Eagles. Derek frickin' Barnett led the edge rushers with 63% of the snaps last year. I think Reddick is going to have a really good season, a really great season, but he's going to be playing less snaps, and I think that'll ultimately prevent him from getting that 10.5 or more sacks in 2022. I'm going to go slight under.
All right, slight under from Dibes. Ryan, what do you have for me?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over, but again, a slight over. I kind of disagree. I think Reddick's going to be out there on the field quite a bit. Considering that the other DNs, edge rushers, you have Brandon Graham. He's 34, 35 years old, coming off of a major injury. We don't know how he's going to come back. He may, again, be slow to kind of get involved or get hurt again. The other side, we have the untapped potential of Josh Sweat that never seems to fully materialize. And then we have Mr. Penalty, Barnett. So I think, depending on how they use him, whether he's, hand in the ground or he's flying around, I think he's going to be out there for a while. Or a lot of the plays, and I think he gets to the quarterback. I think he's that player that we've been missing, as we've, Dibes, I think we've talked about it a million times. How many times do we get pressure? We can't finish the job. We're like the kings of that. Like, we just always seem to be right in the quarterback's face, and we just, we should have a lot more sacks than we do. I think Reddick helps with that, and I think he gets it to 11 or 12.
All right, so we've got an over, we've got an under. Phil, break the tie here.
Dude, we are not just going over; we are going way over. First of all, did you just say, Derek Barnett led the team in edge snaps? Are you comparing Hassan Reddick's impact?
No, what I'm comparing is the Eagles rotate their line. They rotate their line.
The problem is we have not had a guy on our line. He's better than anybody we've had on our edge in the last 20 plus years. Okay, I'm looking at it since 2000. The leaders in single season sacks, Babbitt had 18 in 2011, and Hugh Douglas had 15 in 2000. Wow. Hassan Reddick is as good as Hugh Douglas at getting to the quarterback. Hassan Reddick's going to play 65 to 70% of the snaps, and Hassan Reddick is going to he might challenge Jason Babbitt for that 18 sack record in the 2000s and ahead. Because no one else on our team is that. Look, I see Josh Sweat on there. Brandon Graham, he's old and tired and slow. Nobody is going to be prepared for how good Hassan Reddick's going to be. he's going to be in that 18 sack range this year.
Love it.
My word. That's my boldest prediction on this sheet right
I
here.
love it. I love it.
Prediction.
I love
I
it.
have been wanting Hassan Reddick on the Eagles for years now, and I am so pumped that he's finally here. I'm so excited.
All right, I am also going to take the over. I was going to take the under, but Phil swayed me there. No, I'm just kidding. I just don't think
he
that.
compared him to freaking Derek Barnett. In the same sentence.
No. I was just making a point about how the Eagles rotate their rushers, but I do think that doesn't necessarily apply here because he is the only stand-up pass rusher they have, and I think they want to heavily utilize that this year. So you're not just going to sub him out for Derek Barnett or Josh Sweat or Brandon Graham. They play an entirely different role. So I think he's going to play 75-80% of the snaps. I think he gets over 10.5 sacks pretty easily.
18.5 sacks. That's the number.
Love it. Love it.
Get down.
Everyone was
So right now we have a Jalen Reagor game-winning touchdown and 18 sacks for my man Hassan Reddick. Let's
Hassan
go.
Reddick breaking the single-season sack record is more likely than Jalen Reagor catching.
That is true.
Fair.
We got Paul on YouTube says everyone was hyped last summer about the Eagles D-line and they only got 31 sacks, placing them 31st in the NFL. Fans and media overrate the Eagles D-line every year. We're going to get to that. We'd have an over-under just for that at the end. So let's keep rolling along here with Nakobe Dean's snap percentage. Will Nakobe Dean play over or under 60% of the snaps? Last year, the Eagles' number one linebacker in snap count was Alex Singleton at 64%. He is gone in Denver now. TJ Edwards had 61%. So will Nakobe Dean get 60% of the snaps? Phil, take it away.
He is not. And not because of anything against him. I'm not sold that he's 100% healthy. He fell to the third round for a reason. Kazir White is going to get a lot more snaps than people realize. You still got TJ Edwards. They have actually, for the first time ever, a really good linebacker core. I just don't think Nakobe Dean is going to get enough snaps in the beginning part of the season to hit that 60% for the year. It's going to be close, but I just something tells me something is wrong that he fell. Not saying he can't be a great linebacker for the future. I'm pumped that he is an Eagle, 100%. But he is not going to be a major part of this team in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season. So it's an under for me.
All right, Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. It's as much as anybody who knows me and knows how much I absolutely love linebackers and I love Dean. I just think the fact that we will have, if we just had what we had last year, maybe he might get there just by comparison. But, again, adding White, having Reddick may, line up sometimes at linebacker officially. And you still have TJ Edwards, who is slowly getting better each year. But, I think again, just rookie, slow start, probably won't get there by the end of the year.
All right. Dibes, what about you?
Pound the over. Come on, guys. Let's go. I think Dean is going to play a ton over the middle, a ton at weak side. I think the guy has insane intangibles. He can attack the pass, the quarterback. He can stop the run. He can do it all. This guy has immense intangibles. He can read an offense, get to his spots. I think Gannon, whether it's Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, is just going to utilize these guys, and they're going to be integral parts of this defense. 100% the over. I think this guy not only gets 150 tackles this year, I think this guy is one of the rookie defensive player of the year. So I think he's going to be sensational.
I hope.
All right. I think Dean is the type of guy, he's the type of player that you want wearing the green dot on your defense. And that's not a guy you take off of the field. The question is, where is he at health-wise? The Eagles have said everything's fine. Dean has said everything is fine. Is it really? Is he going to make it through training camp ready to assume those duties week one? It's one of those things like if he's wearing the green dot, this is an easy over. And if it's not, I think he rotates a lot. And so I'm conflicted on this one, but I'm going to take the over. I do think that, health aside, which obviously we can't know, we're kind of speculating in this question a lot. But if he is healthy, I expect him to be on the field a lot for the Eagles this season. Okay, let's keep it rolling here to Josh Sweat sacks at 9.5. He had 7.5 last year. He had 6 the year before that. I'm going to lead us off this time. I'm going to take the under. If he couldn't get it last year with Brandon Graham injured, I don't see how he gets it with Brandon Graham back and with Hassan Reddick. I like Josh Sweat a lot. I think he's a good player. He's not ever been a high sack guy, and I don't think that's necessarily bad. He does well with pressures. He does well in run defense. He's a good, solid player who doesn't commit penalties every other snap, unlike other players we don't need to mention again. But I don't think he's going to get over 9.5 sacks this year. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm under as well. I think we've been hyping up Josh Sweat for however many years, and he gives you a little glimpse, and then it's just, it's not fully, what we want it to be. But I just think with Reddick coming in and, the improvement on the linebackers, I just don't see him, getting to that. I hope he does, but I just don't see it.
If they hadn't brought back Derek Barnett, I would have felt better about an over for Sweat here. But Phil, what about you?
Oh, it's the under for me. I don't buy Josh Sweat at all. Here's another bold one for you guys. Derek Barnett will have more sacks than Josh Sweat this year.
Oh, wow.
Derek Barnett has pressure on him now. He doesn't have a first-round rookie contract that he's got to live up to anymore. He gets all those penalties because of a reputation, not because they're not all penalties. A lot of them are just flags thrown before contact's even made, because it's Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett will have more sacks. Watch Sweat this year. Mark it down.
All right. Dibes, what about you?
Man. I was going to go under, but I'm 100% just seeing how this plays out, and I'm looking down the road. I'm looking for the big play here. I'm going over. This might be the separator when we're counting our scorecards. I'm going to pound the under. You look at Josh Sweat against winning teams last year, 7 games, 314 snaps, 0.5 sacks. He didn't get it done. Guess what? The Eagles have one of the easiest schedules in the league this year. He was second in terms of win rate in the NFL. They have Jordan Davis is going to open up a ton for him off the edge. Let's go over. I'm going to change my ranking. I'm going over 9.5 sacks, and I don't give a shit.
All right.
That's the spirit.
All right, let's jump back to the offensive side of the ball here. We've got just a couple left. Jalen Hurts turnovers. So this is fumbles lost plus interceptions at 14.5. So last season he threw 7 interceptions. He fumbled the ball 9 times, but he only lost 2 of them. So he had 9 turnovers last year. Set the line at 14.5. Ryan, why don't you lead us off here?
Yeah, I was discussing this with someone the other day. Can't remember the situation, but I remember specifically saying 13 total turnovers. So I'm going to have to go under. I think, again, he is relatively good with the ball when he's throwing. Outside of the 1 or 2 games, he was really good. He made smart decisions in that aspect. Losing 9 fumbles and 9 fumbles and only losing 2 of them, that's probably not going to happen again. Just law of
I will
average.
say I think 1 or 2 of the fumbles that were scored were snaps that he didn't get a hand on that get scored weird as like fumbles. So I'm not sure that all of those were like he coughed the ball up.
Yeah, but either way, I think he still comes in under 14.5.
All right. Phil, what about you?
I agree with that. He takes care of the ball way too much. He's only going to get better at that, in my opinion. So it's an under, and it's probably going to be about the same as last year. What was it? Would you say 9.5 or 9?
It was 9 fumbles, 2 lost, 7 interceptions, so 9 total.
He might have under 10 turnovers again this year. So absolutely well under.
All right, Dibes, what about you?
I'm going over. I'm going over on this one. You look at Jalen Hurts, majority of his interceptions last year were beyond 10 yards. They're going to be seeing Jalen Hurts move the ball downfield a lot more this year in that intermediate area of the field, deep downfield. They're going to test his downfield accuracy. for better or worse. And that, like, we kind of like piggybacking off of that one over under about will kind of Nick Sirianni allow Jalen Hurts to go and grow through those growing pains. I think those turnovers are going to be part of his development. I don't think that's a knock on Jalen Hurts. It's just part of the gig. I think he's going to be right around there, and I'll go with slight over for me.
Setting these lines makes all of them a pretty difficult decision for me because I was like putting them where I wasn't sure. And I've gone back and forth on this one. He does a really good job of taking care of the ball. I do expect them to throw the ball next year, particularly over the middle of the field, which I think will be it's going to present turnover opportunities for him. I'm going to take the over very slightly. He goes in, if he has 15 turnovers, 16 turnovers, that doesn't make it a bad season. It all kind of depends on how it plays out. I am going to take the slight over just because I expect him to be pushing the ball downfield, particularly over the middle of the field more.
That's where those turnovers come from, man. That's where the bulk of turnovers come from.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Paul on YouTube says he's going to take the over. Passing more will mean more opportunity for mistakes to be made. Yeah, that's
which is not a bad thing. That's what we need to see.
Yeah. All right, back to the defensive side of the ball. Talking about turnovers, how many turnovers will the defense force in 2022? I set the line at 19.5. Last season, they forced 16 turnovers. The year before, they forced 19. Phil, why don't you lead us off on this one?
This is one of the ones that torn me, a lot because you would think with a much, much better pass rush, they're going to force some turnovers. You got to think with James Bradbury instead of Steven Nelson, they're going to force more turnovers. Better linebacker play. 19.5. If you said it at 18.5, I'd feel more comfortable. At 19.5, it's right there at 19-20 maximum. I don't have enough overs on my sheet. I'm just going to say over because that line is like right there. I just think because they're going to get so many sacks this year, the turnovers might not come in the bunches that people think. But I'll say over, but really, really barely because that's right where it's about 19-20 turnovers max.
Yeah, last year 20 turnovers would have been like 18th in the league, so it's just slightly above league average. Dibes, what do you think on this one?
It better be the over. I mean, Jonathan Gannon's on the hot seat. You look at this defensive line, you look at this front seven, maybe arguably the best we've seen from the Eagles in a long time. They've got the outside corners to stick in coverage. There's a lot there. There's a lot there that should give the Eagles opportunities to pick off some passes, get to the quarterback, force some errant throws. It's all there. I like, what does my heart say? What does my gut say? Or what does my brain say versus what does my heart say? I'll say my brain says under because I've been so disappointed for so long. But no, I'm going to say under because I need them to prove it to me. I'll go under.
All right. Ryan, where are you at on this one?
I am going to listen to my brain. And I've been hurt in this particular category all too often. And I want nothing more than to be wrong, but I have to say under because every time that we think, hey, we got some playmakers on the defense. Hey, we're going to get to that quarterback. We're going to get some sacks. And it just doesn't materialize. And Darius Slay is the best corner we've had in years and years. And, first season he comes out, he's non-existent in turnovers. So my brain is just telling me to hit the under as much as I want to be wrong. It's just I've been hurt. I've been hurt too many times. That's where I'm at.
All right. I'm going to take the under on this one. I think a lot – the Eagles do not have ball hawking safeties. They don't have safeties that produce and I think without that, it's hard to be a high turnover team unless you're counting on strip sacks, which you can't count on. So I expect the defense to be a lot better, and I hope they are because I don't think it's going to come via takeaways. Okay, 3 left here. Let's go to special teams. Jake Elliott, season-long field goal, 58.5 yards. His long last year was 58. He obviously had the 61-yarder against the Giants his rookie season, so he has the leg. Nick Sirianni allowed him to attempt 3 field goals from 50-plus last year. Dibes, is he going to hit one from over 58.5 this year?
Yes. If I'm going to say Jalen Hurts or Jalen Rieger gets a game-winning touchdown, why can't Jake Elliott hit a 58-plus yard field goal this season? Why not? I don't care. It's Jake freaking Elliott. Give me the over.
All right, Ryan.
The opportunity to kick a 60-yard field goal doesn't happen too often. And that is not correct.
I think he was maybe predicting.
I was going to say, I was like, wait a minute. We all know that's not correct. Okay, I get it now. Sorry, Paul. I'm gonna go under. I just think, again, opportunity. It just doesn't happen that often. It really doesn't. And not saying that he wouldn't be able to hit it. He obviously has. It's just I just don't see it. So I'm going under.
All right, Phil. You're shaking your head. Are you with Ryan?
It's got to be the under for everything these guys said. Plus, the offense is just going to be better. So they're going to have the amount of opportunities to kick those long field goals are slim. This offense is going to have longer drives more frequently. He might not even have to attempt a 55 or 56-yard field goal this year. At this point, honestly, it's the confidence I got in the offense. So
nice.
Yeah, I think he could hit it. I think his best chance to hit it is going to be, one of those situations where you get the ball with 30 seconds left before half and you're able to hit that out route, get out of bounds, and try it. I don't necessarily want to rely on that. So I'm going to take the under. I think he hits it if he gets the opportunity. I just don't know that he gets that opportunity. So I'm going to go under. Okay, another one on the offensive side here. We got one left on offense, one left on defense. So on offense, who plays more snaps this year, Grant Calcaterra or Jack Stoll? Phil, why don't you lead us off on this one?
Who? Yeah, I'm going to go Grant Calcaterra.
Nice.
He's got some kind of connection with Jalen Hurts. They played somewhere, one of the colleges somewhere together.
They were at OU together.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Stoll stinks, man. Get him off my team. Calcaterra all day long, baby.
Love it.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I am so in agreement with Phil there. I cannot stand Jack Stoll. I don't even know why he's on this team. He is the most bland, vanilla tight end dude I've ever witnessed in my life. Get him out of here. Let's let the young kid, although Stoll's pretty young too. Let's get Calcaterra in here. He can actually catch the ball.
All right, Dibes.
It's 100% Jack Stoll. I'm sorry. It's Jack Stoll. I know it's not the sexy pick here, but I know the Eagles are going to be passing more. But you look at my gut feeling is Jack Stoll gets majority of the snaps this season. When he was in there, he was sensational last year. Calcaterra still needs to prove a lot to me this training camp, and he's one of the kind of low key underrated training camp battles. This training camp, I'm really excited to see what Calcaterra brings. We don't even know if he's football ready. So for me, it's Jack Stoll because he's a sure thing. He can back up Dallas Goedert. He's not going to catch the ball, but he's going to thrive at run blocking, and that's what the Eagles do best.
Yeah, this one is interesting. Jack Stoll's not a good receiving tight end, but he is a good blocker. Grant Calcaterra cannot block to save his life. And so are the Eagles going to run 2 tight end sets with Calcaterra on the field, who isn't a threat in the running game? Because if you're just going to look at receiving threats, they've got better receivers than that. So I am going to lean to Jack Stoll here. I don't like it. I hope Calcaterra, we had this narrative about Dallas Goedert. They said he couldn't block when he came into the league, and it turned out he was just never asked to. Now, Grant Calcaterra was asked to some at OU and SMU, and he just didn't do it very well. So maybe it's a technique thing that can be fixed in training camp. This guy will be ready to go. But until he proves he can run block, at least passively, I just don't see his pathway to a lot of snaps, barring a Dallas Goedert injury. So I'll go Stoll on this one.
Was Jack Stoll ever asked to catch the ball?
No.
Nope, not much.
I feel like somebody should at least ask him. To see if he can do it.
I would rather question who plays more snaps. Jack Stoll, Jalen Reagor, or Andre Dillard.
That's a great question.
Bottom on that list.
That's a great
My team.
That is a good question. All right, so let's wrap it up here. We talked about the defensive line earlier. We had somebody comment and say the defensive line is always overrated by media. So I set a line for total sacks at 42.5. In 2021, they had 29 sacks, which was ranked 31st in the league.
Ugh.
But in 2020, they had 49 sacks, which was ranked 3rd in the league. So 42.5 is the cutoff to be a top 10 team in sacks last season. Do the Eagles get there this year? Dibes, why don't you lead us off here?
It better fucking be over. You look at the assets the Eagles have invested in their front seven. 42 would put them right outside of the top 10 last year. A huge contingent on the Eagles' success is this pass rush, getting home. It's that they have to hit the over on this one. I'm going over.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I think I am going to go over here. I just think with Reddick coming in, the improvement on the linebacking core, the improvement in the secondary, I think all of that kind of works together, and it'll give them a little bit more time to get to the quarterback. I think overall, I think they hit that over and finally start hitting that quarterback and bringing them down.
All right, Phil.
I mean, I just predicted Hassan Reddick's going to have 18.5 sacks.
Right.
I just did some quick math. I mean, what's that? 14 sacks from the rest of the team? I mean, you might get close to 42 just from your edge, guys. I mean, Brandon Graham will get 5 or 6. Dark Barnett's going to get 5 or 6. Josh Sweat's going to get 4 or 5. That means you need 5 from everybody else just to hit the over. Dude, you're smashing. You might have 50 sacks from your defense this year. 50 sacks.
Like it.
All right, I am also going to take the over. The problem with the Eagles last year was not their pass rush. The pass rush was fine. It was, quarterbacks had the fastest time to throw against the Eagles versus any other defense because of the coverages they played. Now, I understand why they did it. They didn't have the personnel, but you brought in James Bradbury. You have one of the better CB trios in the NFL right now. You brought in linebackers. You've got, Nakobe Dean if he plays. You've got Kazir White. Those are improvements at the linebacker position. You drafted Big Jordan Davis so you can take guys out of the box and still stop the run fine. I think this pass rush is going to be primed to go off. It was primed to go off last year. They were good in pass rush win rate. They just didn't get to the quarterback because the ball got out so fast. I don't expect that to continue this year. So I'm going to take the over on that one as well. So it looks like, by my look there, it looks like 4 of them we were unanimous on. So I would call that a win on setting the lines. We didn't have too many that everybody was slamming the over or the under on. So I'm pleased with how that turned out. We'll put this together. We'll tweet this out, and maybe we can put up some polls for the public to vote, and we can see if they beat us. I'm sure they'll probably beat Dibes, but I don't know about the rest of us.
Naturally.
Can you guys do a poll that Jack Stoll stinks? I want to see the results on that. I'm going to create like 95 burner accounts.
That's something you would see from like WIP or some shit.
Dibes already has burner accounts because he votes for himself with like 100
Yeah.
every time we play draft.
You always find right.
I only have 2 or 3 burner accounts, I swear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to about wrap it up for us here. Eagles Over Under Show. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Before we get out of here, I'm going to toss it around the horn here for you guys. Final thoughts, plug your stuff. Phil, why don't you start us off here?
Well, to start it off, Jack Stoll stinks. Hassan Reddick's going to get That sums up this show. You can check me out every morning on DSM Media on YouTube. I do a Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. It's called Trending in the AM. I don't even know what tomorrow's agenda is. I wake up at 7 a.m., I check ESPN, I check Twitter, and then I make the agenda for the show. Whatever's trending in sports, we talk about it. Always have an array of guests. If you guys don't have normal jobs, 9 to 5, you're all welcome anytime. one final thing. I'm offering, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers on DSM Media by the time of the open practice in August, I will personally hand somebody 2 tickets to any Eagles game of their choice. We're starting to gain some ground on that follower number. It's still a little ways off. 1,000 subscribers at DSM Media. I will personally hand somebody 2 tickets to an Eagles game of their choice.
Awesome. All right, you guys be sure and follow Phil on Twitter. Check out his work on YouTube for DSM Media. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, you can follow me on all social media at Philly Sports PSA, and of course on Facebook. That's where a lot of our shows, obviously TPL shows, are flowing through there as well. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling with shows throughout the week. I personally host a couple of them. Just hosted one 2 seconds before I hopped on here. But yeah, just show love and support for everyone here. That's what we're all about.
All right, Dives, how about you?
So my main focus has been on the NFL draft. I've got a safety rankings video dropping at the end of the week. I've done quarterbacks, and edge rushers. I'm going to wrap it up with the safety class, which is really good coming out, which means the Eagles obviously won't take any of those guys in next year's draft. And then I'm going to just bunker down, and it's all Eagles pretty much all the time. So that's basically it. Of course, we have the Sixers roundtables and Sixers shows. Me and Austin are doing we're counting down our top 10 Sixers, most important Sixers to the 2022 season. We started that just a couple of days ago. Had an awesome result from that. Thank you so much, everyone. That's about it for me. Oh, and I did have a really good Eagles guest for Party on Broad, but it got moved to next week, so that won't be happening.
All right, yeah, be sure you check out Dibe's work. He does some of the best draft work out there, especially this early in the game before I start doing mine. So pushing for him right now. He has the best draft stuff on the Painted Lines for right now, so be sure you go check that out while he can claim the title. My final thought is that it was 111 degrees here today, and our local pizza place cooked a pizza outside, and they live streamed it on Facebook. So I'm currently accepting suggestions of where I should move because I'm sick of this. It's been over 100 degrees, 19 straight days, no sign of letting up. I'm like sweating like crazy in my house right now. It is ridiculous. So if you guys got a place that I should move, maybe you should just let me know. But give me a follow on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. Check out my Football 101 content for the Painted Lines. We've been teaching how to break down coverages, the strengths and weaknesses of coverages, personnel packages, some different things like that. So I'm excited to keep that rolling out. If you have never checked out my podcast, Chalk Talk, be sure where I am actually going live right after we're done here. We're going to be doing a divisional preview for the NFC North and the NFC West. So it covers the NFL as a whole. We've already done the NFC East and South, so you can go check that out for more of my thoughts on the division for this year. But please go check that out. I'm going to be going live with Mark Henry Jr. in just a few minutes after we get done here. For everybody that watched today, everybody that joined in the chat, appreciate you guys joining in. I appreciate your comments. It makes it so much more fun to do this stuff when we can engage with you guys live on the air. Dibes is raising his hand.
Go follow DSM Media. Go subscribe to DSM Media over there. Please, guys. Please.
Go get your name on that list to win some Eagles tickets.
Get some tickets.
All right. Well, I am going to turn it over here to Dibes to play us out of here. So, Dibes, take us away.